Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're cracking open the art of negotiation. It's a topic that, well, for a lot of people, triggers immediate stress, right? You hear the negotiation, and you probably picture a standoff, a real fight over something limited, where if one person gains, the other loses.
Yeah, absolutely. And that feeling, that expectation of it being adversarial, that's pretty much the main thing holding back good conversations, according to the research we've been digging into. The big takeaway right off the bat is that the number one obstacle, it's getting stuck, hopelessly locked onto one fixed solution.
Right, so we're kind of tossing out that whole negotiation as a battlefield idea today. Our sources use this really nice French phrase, not combat, but an atelier d'idées.
A workshop of ideas.
Exactly, workshop. So our mission for you listening in is actually pretty simple. It's about shifting your thinking away from just demanding a win towards actually designing value. We want you to see how a bit of creativity can unlock outcomes where, honestly, everyone wins. Maybe even get something unexpected.
hmm It's like moving from being fighters arguing over a pie to being, say, architects working together to design a whole banquet.
Okay, let's unpack that.
hmm
We need to start with the trap itself.
Mm.
Why do negotiations stall out or get angry or just fail? The research is super clear on this. Everyone comes in with their own fixed solution and gets stuck on it.
Mm.
You decide beforehand exactly what you want, that specific salary number, that closing date, whatever, and then you just defend it.
And that act, deciding the outcome before you even start talking, that's what we call locking into a position. You're not really arguing for what you need deep down. You're just arguing for one specific shape of the answer. And that immediately creates this zero-sum game mentality. If I demand option A and you demand option B and they can't both happen, well, then it feels like failure or just a lousy compromise is the only way out. That rigidity, it basically forces the negotiation into the exact fight you were probably worried about from the start.
Okay, I see the logic there, but doesn't having a fixed position, bottom line, doesn't that give me some power? If I stop defending my specific demand, aren't I just opening myself up to get rolled over by someone who's being a hardliner?
That's a really important question, and it gets to why this feels a bit scary at first. The power you think you get from being fixed is really just an illusion of certainty. But the power you lose, that's the power to adapt, to find better solutions. When you cling too tightly to that one position, you're basically telling the other person, look, I have one answer, take it or leave it.
Yeah.
And that just kills any reason for them to get creative with you. So the key mindset shift is realizing that your own preconceived solution, that's often the very thing blocking the path to something genuinely better.
So if the trap is digging in our heels on a position, then the way out, according to the sources, involves heading to that workshop of ideas, the atelier d'idées. The answer is be creative. But how do you actually do creativity when things are tense?
Right. This is where we move from the idea to the how-to. The magic of creativity here is about actively looking beyond positions to understand real needs. And that means asking questions, sure, but asking the right kind of questions, open-ended ones. You could call it the open-ended why. You have to kind of suspend your judgment about what they're asking for and focus completely on why they're asking for it, what's driving that demand.
That sounds like active listening, but used almost strategically. So if someone's anchoring on, say, a really high price, that's their position. But if I ask them genuinely, not defensively, can you help me understand why that specific number is so important for you?
Exactly. You're drilling down from the surface demand to the underlying reason, the motivator. Let's say they're selling a car. Position is $100,000. Okay. But if you probe the need behind that number, you might find different things. Is it purely about maximizing profit? Or maybe they need the cash by Friday for another deal? Or maybe they're worried about affording their next car. Needs. Needs are usually broader, more flexible. Positions are tight, restrictive.
Okay. And that's the shortcut for you, the listener, to gain some leverage. By shifting focus from what they demand to why they demand it, you start to understand what they really value, what's most important to them. Their need for quick cash might be more flexible than their asking price, right? So if I can meet that need, maybe by structuring payments differently, I haven't just chipped away at their price. I've actually solved their underlying problem.
Precisely. You've stopped arguing about the metal box and started engineering a financial solution that works. That understanding that the need is the real engine and the position is just the first vehicle they proposed, maybe not even the best one, lets you build something better for both of you. Now, you do have to recognize sometimes the stated need might be strategic. They might be bluffing a bit about what they truly value. But your job in that workshop is to gently test that stated need. Keep asking why. until you get to the genuine core driver.
Okay, to really make this concrete, we absolutely have to talk about that classic story. It comes up in basically all the source material.
Yeah.
The story of the three sisters and the orange. It's just the perfect, simplest illustration of why focusing on needs is the whole game.
It really is the perfect fable, because it shows how easily this feeling of scarcity, like, oh no, only one orange, can completely hide the fact that there are plenty of solutions.
Right.
So you've got these three sisters, right? And they are fighting tooth and nail over one single orange. Let's trace how that could go.
Initially, all three have the exact same fixed position. I want the whole orange. Now, if they do a standard zero-sum negotiation, what happens? They probably compromise. They cut the orange into three small equal pieces, and nobody's happy. Everyone feels like they lost.
Right. But then imagine someone steps in, someone thinking creatively, focusing on needs, and they start asking that open-ended why. Why do you want the orange? Suddenly the real needs start coming out. And guess what? They aren't actually in conflict at all.
So, Sister 1, her position was, I want the orange, but her actual need, the juice. She just wanted to make orange juice. She was thirsty.
Okay. Sister 2 also wanted the whole orange, but her need, totally different. She needed the peel. Just the zest, actually, to bake a special family cake.
And Sister 3, crucially, also demanded the whole orange.
Yeah.
Same position. But her motivation was completely different again, more long-term. She needed the seeds.
Yeah, to plant an orange tree.
So her need was the seeds.
Now look at that outcome. If they'd stayed stuck on their position dividing the physical orange, everyone loses. Total failure, really. But because someone addressed their true needs creatively, giving the juice to one, the peel to the second, the seeds to the third, the sources say they could all have had exactly what they wanted. Maximum value for everyone. They didn't just compromise. They found the ideal solution by basically taking the resource apart.
That orange story, it's almost embarrassing how simple it is. Because it makes me think how often I probably settled for some lame compromise, instead of just asking that simple question, why? It really reframes every single disagreement, doesn't it?
It really does. It shows the core idea perfectly. Often, what your opponent truly needs is actually complementary to what you truly need. Even if your starting positions look like they're miles apart, totally antagonistic, once you realize you're not actually fighting over the single thing, the orange, but over different components or aspects of it, juice, peel, seeds, you suddenly see you have multiple resources to work with, not just one scarce item.
So what's the big promise then? What does the source material say happens when you make that shift, when you get out of the position battle and into the idea workshop?
The promise is, well, it's abundance, essentially. The sources basically guarantee that when you apply creativity and really dig into the needs, there's almost always a third, a fourth, or even a fifth option available. And crucially, this option, it's never the one that was defined by the initial positions. It's something new you create together.
And that's what makes everyone a winner, this expansion of options. We were so focused on my option A versus your option B, thinking it had to be a fight, but the real huge value was hiding somewhere else entirely, in option C or D or E.
Let's take a quick business example. Imagine a small software company. They need to sell a big new license, their position. $1 million upfront, position A. The big corporate buyer. They need to keep their spending down this quarter, their position. Price has to be under $500K, position B. Okay, if they just stick to arguing about those numbers, that price point, the deal probably dies right there. But what if the seller starts proving the buyer's need? Maybe it's not just cost. Maybe it's about protecting their cash flow this quarter, and the buyer probes the seller's need. Maybe it's less about the immediate million and more about predictable revenue over the long term. Now they're in the workshop.
Okay, so what's the creative option? Option C.
Well, option C could be something like log rolling. The seller might say, okay, look, we keep the total value at $1 million, but we structure it differently. Instead of an upfront capital purchase, let's make it a 10-year service subscription. You can expense the payments monthly over the whole contract. Fits your cash flow need.
Clear.
The buyer meets their immediate liquidity need, keeps Q4 spending down. And the seller, they get a guaranteed, predictable, maybe even larger revenue stream over time. That's the kind of unanticipated solution the sources say it's frequently the one nobody saw coming. It wasn't on the table initially because it didn't fit either position A or position B, but it maximizes value for both. And that's why this creative, needs-focused mindset really can ensure everyone wins.
Wow, that's a really powerful way to pull it all together. Okay, let's bring the core message back to you, the listener. If you take just one thing away from this deep dive today, let it be this. Swap that combative, fixed position mindset for the creative workshop of ideas approach. Stop negotiating over the surface demands, fighting for the whole orange, basically. Start investigating the underlying needs, the needs that often aren't mutually exclusive, hiding just beneath those demands.
And maybe here's a final thought, something provocative for you to take away and try out immediately. The very next time you feel stuck in any kind of disagreement, could be at work, could be personal, could be just figuring out weekend plans. Stop arguing about the solutions currently on the table. Stop defending your position so hard. Instead, just pause, take a breath, and ask that key question. What's the real underlying need here? What's the fundamental motivator that hasn't been met yet? For them. For me.
Because that question, that targeted inquiry, it forces you to look beyond just compromising.
Right.
And start searching for that unseen third, fourth, or fifth option.
Yeah.
The one that actually creates value and makes everyone feel like they walked away with what they genuinely needed. It's time to get creative.